and Godfrey Osotsi. The Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 27 of the year 2024, a bill by the leader of the majority party, is a bill lined up for debate this afternoon. Also, the House will be considering the establishment of a national teaching and referral hospital in Kenya. These are actually hospitals in Kenya, and this motion is by Senator Jonas Maruma. In the motion, the Senator for Taita Taveta County says, aware that Article 43, subsection 1A of the Constitution of Kenya provides for every person for the right to the highest attainment standards of health, including reproductive health care. And the Senator in the motion is concerned that bed capacity, medical equipment, and human capital in the national teaching and referral hospitals are not sufficient to absorb. Allow me to hand you over back to the chamber.
Go ahead. Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Senator, proceed to take your seat. I need to make some communication. Now, honorable senators would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, visiting teachers and students from Ruby Craft Adventist School in Homa Bay County. The delegation comprises 14 teachers and 108 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Upon taking your seat, I will allow Senator Beatrice Akinyi to extend a word of welcome under 1 minute. Senator Chuti, you're totally out of order. Resume your seat, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I thank you for granting me the chance to welcome the visiting students from Ruby Craft Adventist School from Homa Bay County. And on behalf of myself, Senator Beatrice Ogola, and on behalf of the Senator of Homa Bay County, Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang, who is away on official duty, feel most welcome to the Senate. The Senate is a house of representation, oversight, and legislation. We welcome you here. Amongst us, this is also a House of Parliament that looks at the interests of our counties. And of course, you can be a testament of the good work going on in Homa Bay County, led by Her Excellency Governor Gladys Wanga. Feel welcome, and please continue dreaming right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Now, honorable senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have, pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, received the following message from the National Assembly regarding the approval of the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bills number 34 of 2022. The message, dated Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Wednesday, 23rd of October 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order 46-4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41-1 and 154B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, which was published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 150 of 6th of October 2022, as a bill seeking to reinstate provisions of the Sugar Act 2001 that was repealed through the enactment of the Crops Act 2013, to re-establish the Kenya Sugar Board, to invigorate the sugar sector through re-establishment of the Sugar Development Levy and the Sugar Development Fund, and to establish the Kenya Sugar Research Institute, was considered and passed by the National Assembly on the 27th of September 2023, and thereafter referred to the Senate for consideration in accordance with provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution. And whereas the Senate considered and passed the bill with amendments, which upon reconsideration by the National Assembly were rejected on Thursday, the 1st of August 2024, consequently committing the bill to Mediation Committee in accordance with the provisions of Article 112 of the Constitution. Further, whereas in accordance with the provisions of Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 150, the National Assembly considered and approved the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, on Friday, 18th of October 2024, and in the form agreed to by the Mediation Committee on the bill. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 154B, the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the said decision of the National Assembly to the Senate. Honorable Senators, as you may recall, during the sitting of the Senate on Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, Senator David Wakoli, MP, on behalf of the Vice Chairperson of the Mediation Committee, laid on the table of the Senate the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bills number 34 of 2022, and soon thereafter gave notice and moved a motion for the adoption of the report and the approval of the mediated version of the bill. Debate on the motion will resume and be dispensed with in the usual manner. The House is guided accordingly. I have another message. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have, pursuant to Standing Order 46-3, received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the decision of the National Assembly on the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2024. The message, dated Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Wednesday, the 23rd of October 2024. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 46-4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41-1 and 148B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas on Wednesday, the 7th of August 2024, the National Assembly passed the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2024, and thereafter refer the bill to the Senate for consideration in accordance with Article 110(4) of the Constitution. And whereas on Thursday, the 3rd of October 2024, the Senate considered and passed the said bill with amendments and referred it back to the National Assembly in accordance with the provisions of Article 112(1) of the Constitution. Further, whereas on Wednesday, 16th of October 2024, the National Assembly negatived a motion on consideration of the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024, thereby committing it to a Mediation Committee in accordance with the provisions of Article 112(2)(b) of the Constitution. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 112 of the Constitution and Standing Order 41-1 and 148B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the said decision of the National Assembly to the Senate and seek the appointment of 9 senators to a mediation committee to consider the bill in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution. Honorable Senators, consequent to the said decision, the Speaker of the National Assembly appointed the following members of the National Assembly to the Mediation Committee to consider the contentious clauses in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution. 1. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, CBS MP. Honorable Mary Emase, MP, Honorable Dr. John Chikati, MP, Honorable David Ocheng, CBS, MP, Honorable David Kiplagat, MP, Honorable Dr. Otiende Amolo, SC, MP, Honorable Fatuma Jeho, MP, Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, MP, and Honorable Dr. Ojambo Oundo, MP. Honorable Senators, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 166-2 of the Senate, and in consultation with the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader, I will, at an appropriate time, appoint Honorable Senators to the Mediation Committee. Honorable Senators, you may take your seats before I read the last message. Now, Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have, pursuant to Standing Order 46-3, received the following message from the National Assembly regarding the approval of the mediated version of the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 33 of 2023. The message, dated Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Wednesday, 23rd of October 2024. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 46-4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41-1 and 154B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2023, which was published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 108 of 4th of July 2023 as a bill seeking to amend the Water Act 2016, to provide for public-private partnerships arrangements, was considered and passed by the National Assembly on the 7th of March 2024, and thereafter referred to the Senate for consideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution. And whereas the Senate considered and passed the bill with amendments, which upon reconsideration by the National Assembly were rejected on Thursday, the 30th of April 2024, consequently committing the bill to a mediation committee in accordance with the provisions of Article 112 of the Constitution. Further, whereas in accordance with the provisions of Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 150, the National Assembly considered and approved the mediated version of the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2023, on Wednesday, the 16th of October 2024, and in the form agreed to by the Mediation Committee on the bill. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 154B, the National Standing Orders, I hereby convey the said decision of the National Assembly to the Senate. Honorable Senators, as you may recall, during the sitting of the Senate on Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, Senator Beatrice Ogola, MP, on behalf of the chairperson of the Mediation Committee, laid on the table of the Senate the report of the Mediation Committee on the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 33 of 2023, and soon thereafter gave notice of a motion for the adoption of the report and the approval of the mediated version of the bill. The Vice Chairperson of the Mediation Committee will, at an appointed time, move the motion for the adoption of the report and the approval of the mediated version of the bill as listed in the order paper. The House is guided accordingly. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of this Senate today, the 25th of October, the year of our Lord 2024, being, Mr. Speaker, the third annual report on the state of public-private partnerships, PPPs, by the National Treasury and Economic Planning for the financial year 2023-24. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53.1. Honorable Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My statement is regarding the facilities at the Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the deplorable state of health services at the Mama Lucy Hospital in Nairobi County. Particularly in the maternity wing, reports indicate severe overcrowding with as many as 5 patients sharing a single bed. Additionally, there are claims that patients unable to fully access necessary facilities are still being charged for services they could not utilize. Mr. Speaker, sir, the situation raises serious concerns about the dignity, safety, and well-being of the patients relying on the hospital for essential maternity and general health care services. It also highlights broader issues of inadequate healthcare infrastructure and staffing at the facility, which falls under the responsibility of the county government of Nairobi. In the statement, the committee should 1. Report on the extent of overcrowding and the strain of facilities at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital and provide a report on the noted constraints to service provision of Kenyans. Number 2, outline the measures being taken by the county government of Nairobi to address the overcrowding, including immediate interventions and long-term plans to improve healthcare infrastructure and services at the hospital. Number 3, clarify the steps being taken to ensure the patients are not unfairly charged for services that are unable to access due to current constraints. And the last, number 4, recommend measures in how the national government, through the Ministry of Health, can support the county government in improving service delivery at Mama Lucy Hospital. Mr. Speaker, can I read the second one? The second one is the lack of dedicated prayer room for Muslim students at Moi Girls High School in Kibra constituency, Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the lack of dedicated prayer facility for Muslim students at Moi Girls High School, Kibra constituency in Nairobi City County, despite Christian students having a designated space for fellowships. Mr. Speaker, this issue raises concerns about religious inclusivity and equity in public institutions in the country. It is important to ensure that all students, regardless of their faith, have equal access to facilities that support their religious practices as guaranteed by the Constitution. In the statement, the committee should report on the steps the Ministry of Education is taking to provide Muslim students at Moi Girls High School in Kibra constituency with a dedicated prayer room, similarly to the facility available for Christian students. Number 2, clarify the ministry's policy on ensuring religious inclusivity and equal access to facilities for students of all faiths in public schools across the country. And number 3, provide a time frame within which the ministry will address this issue and ensure that the Muslim students have a proper space for prayer and religious activities at the school. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to read my statement on the alteration of the Taita Taveta County and Kajiado County boundary. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations regarding the alteration of the Taita Taveta County and Kajiado County boundary at Rombo Ranch, following an agreement between the respective county governments on 4th July 2020. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide details of all registered boundary disputes that informed the alteration of the Taita Taveta County and Kajiado County boundary at Rombo Ranch. 2, disclose the details of public participation exercises undertaken by the respective county governments in respect of the boundary alteration, stating the dates and venues of the exercises as well as the names and national identification numbers of participants. 3, clarify the agreement entered into by the two county governments on 4th July 2020 in respect of the boundary alteration is legally binding. 4, indicate whether the agreed upon boundary alteration was deposited with the Survey Office, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and other relevant government entities. And 5, state whether the process of boundary alteration complied with the legal framework for alteration of county boundaries, and if not, explain any remedial steps taken to revert to the originally delineated boundaries. Mr. Speaker, I have another statement. This statement is on the operations of Tavevo Water Company in Taita Taveta County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Lands, Environment, and Natural Resources regarding the operations of Taita Taveta Voi or Tavevo Water Company in Taita Taveta County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, inform the Senate the billing calculation formula used by the Tavevo Water and Sewerage Company to bill its customers. 2, explain the different classes of water billing, including but not limited to urban and rural consumers, large and small scale and small volume consumers, or any other classification in use. And finally, 3, provide details of the geographical area covered by the Tavevo Water and Sewerage Company, and if possible, attach the map. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Richard Onyonka. That statement is dropped. Senator Onyonka had 2 statements. Both of them are dropped. Senator Alan Chesang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to read out a statement on behalf of Senator Alan Chesang, a Senator of Trans Nzoia County. Honorable Speaker, this is a request for a statement on the opening and operation of bank accounts by the County Executive of Trans Nzoia County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the opening and operations of bank accounts by the County Executive of Trans Nzoia. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a list of all bank accounts operated by the County Executive of Trans Nzoia, stating the purpose of each bank account, the respective opening and closing balances for the 2023-2024 financial year, opening balance for the 2024-2025 financial year, as well as balance as at 1st October 2024. 2, report on whether the due process was followed in the opening of the bank accounts, providing evidence that all necessary authorizations required under the Public Finance Management Act and other relevant legislations were granted. 3, provide a list of all projects funded from these bank accounts, indicating the status of completion for each project. 4, disclose details of all short-term bank loans and overdrafts taken by the county executive in the 2023-24 and 2024-25 financial years, providing justification for each bank facility and stating the applicable annualized and monthly interest rates as well as the total interest cost. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, indicate whether the county executive sought and was granted approvals by the County Assembly of Trans Nzoia to take the short-term bank loans and overdrafts, and if not, provide reasons for the same. Senator Alan Chesang, Senator for Trans Nzoia County.
Senator Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two statements, very important statements. Allow me to read concurrently. Mr. Speaker, a request for statement on the indefinite closure of Moi University. Mr. Speaker, and you as truly is an alumni of Moi University. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Education regarding the indefinite closure of Moi University due to prolonged industrial strike by workers over alleged mismanagement of the university. In the statement, committee should, 1, report on the current financial status of Moi University, providing reasons for the delayed payment of salaries, failure by the university to remit third-party deductions of more than Kenya shillings 4.1 billion. Mr. Speaker, number 2, state the amount of money received by the university from the government in the financial year 2024-2025 financial year, indicating the student enrollment at the university, particularly under the new university funding model framework. Mr. Speaker, number 3, provide a list of all assets, including commercial properties, land and estates owned and managed by the university, indicating the market value of each asset. Number 5, disclose all liabilities of the university, providing details of the sale agreement for the purchase of Rivertex East Africa Limited by the university, which is alleged to have been financed by a Kenyan shillings 3 billion loan. Mr. Speaker, number 5, state reasons for the delay resolution of the industrial strike by workers of the university, explaining how the government plans to address the situation and providing timelines for the reopening of the university. And finally, Mr. Speaker, clarify whether students will be compensated for the reporting to school or to the university as scheduled and incurring costs, yet no learning as occurred, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the final statement, request for a statement on the status of digitization of government services. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Information, Communication and Technology regarding the status of digitization of government services for enhanced transparency, efficiency, and accessibility in line with the Kenya's digital transformation agenda. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should, 1, outline the standards used to assess the readiness of government services for digitization, as well as criteria used to prioritize the services to be digitized by government. Mr. Speaker, number 2, disclose the criteria used to evaluate the success of the ongoing digitization of government services, disclosing the strategies deployed to enhance performance, as well as the contingency plan for when the set targets are not achieved within the established timelines. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, state the challenges encountered so far during the digitization process, explaining how the experiences have informed future plans. Mr. Speaker, number 4, outline measures put in place to safeguard sensitive personal data uploaded on the digital platform provided in this service. As Mr. Speaker, finally, explain steps taken to bridge gaps in digital literacy among Kenyans and to address the challenges faced by people living with disabilities, PWDs, to ensure and enhance equitable access to digital government services. I hope Senator Crystal is listening to this part. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Senate Majority Leader.
This is a statement by the Senate Majority Leader on the business of the Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, 29th October 2024, pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to this standing order, I hereby present the business of the House for the Senate the week commencing 29th October 2024 on Tuesday. Mr. Speaker, sir, the status of the legislative business before the Senate is as follows. A, 58 bills are pending conclusion, of which 40 are at the second reading stage, while 18 are at the committee of the whole. B, 32 motions are pending conclusion. C, 25 petitions are pending conclusion, of which 19 are due for reporting by the respective standing committees, and D, 424 statements pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1. As honorable senators are aware, in accordance with the calendar of the third session, the Senate is scheduled to proceed on recess from 1st of November 2024 until 11th of November 2024. With that in mind, I urge all honorable senators to prioritize plenary sittings in the chamber to ensure that we make progress on the business highlighted above. Mr. Speaker, sir, on Tuesday, the 29th October 2024, the Senate Business Committee will meet to consider the business for the week. The tentative business, Mr. Speaker, for that day will include business not concluded from today's order paper, as well as business indicated in the notice paper. The tentative business for the morning sitting on Wednesday, 30th October 2024, will include the scheduled questions to Cabinet Secretaries as approved by the Senate Business Committee, as well as motions, whose summary is as follows. A, question number 35 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Dr. Bonnie Khalwale, CBS MP. B, question number 36 to Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Dr. Bonnie Khalwale, CBS MP. C, question number 48 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Professor Thomas Ojenda, Senior Counsel, MP. Question number 52 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Beatrice Ogola, MP. Question number 53 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Planning by Senator Beatrice Ogola, MP. Question number 64 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Dr. Bonnie Khalwale, CBS MP. Question number 071 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Public Works, Housing and Urban Development by Senator James Mrango, MP. Question number 82 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Planning by Senator Mwenda Kataya, Mofaya, MP. Question number 94 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development by Senator James Lomenen, MP. Question number 95 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Mwenda Gataya, Mofaya, MP. Question number 98 to Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development by Senator Edwin Sifuna, MP. Question number 100 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Garangu Thangwa, MP. Question number 107 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Fatuma Dulo, CBS MP. Question number 111 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator George Mbugua, MP. Question number 115 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education by Senator Catherine Mumba, MP. And finally, question number 119 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development by Senator Hamida Kipwana, MP. The business for the afternoon sitting on Wednesday, 30th October 2027 will include business not concluded on the order paper for 29th October 2024 and the following. A, bills. Bill number 1. The Street Vendors Protection of Livelihood Bill, Senate Bills number 41 of 2023. 2, the Local Content Bill, Senate Bills number 50 of 2023. The Early Childhood Education Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 54 of 2023. The Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 40 of 2022. The Intergovernmental Relations Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2024, the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, the National Disaster Risk Management Bill, National Assembly Bills number 24 of 2023, the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 53 of 2023, the Political Parties Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bills number 26 of 2004, and finally the Election Offences Amendment Bill 2, Senate Bills number 28 of 2004. B, Mr. Speaker, bills at the second reading stage. 1, the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Control Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of 2024, the County Government's Elections Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 2 of 2024, the County Oversight and Accountability Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2024, the County Civic Education Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2024, the County Statistics Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2024, the Provision of Sanitary Towels Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2024, the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2024, and the County Assembly's Pension Scheme Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2024. Mr. Speaker, C is on motions. 1, report of the Standing Committee on Energy on its inquiry into the liquefied petroleum gas explosion in Muradi area, Embakasi, Nairobi City County. 2, report of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on an inquiry into the welfare of workers in export processing zones in Mombasa and Kilifi counties. Report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relationship on its inquiry into the personal security concerns raised by the Honorable Philomena Kapkori, Deputy Governor, Trans Nzoia County. Reports of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on its inquiry into the state of markets in Vihiga and Vihiga and Bungoma counties arising from statements sought by Senator Godfrey Osotsi, MP, and Senator David Wakoli, MP. Development of a policy and law for social risk management in the infrastructure development projects in Kenya, and consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the projected business for Thursday, 31st October 2024 will include business not included in the order paper for Tuesday, 29th October, Wednesday, 30th October 24th, and any other business scheduled by the Senate Business Committee. Mr. Speaker, I thank you and hereby lay the statement on the table of the Senate on behalf of Honorable Aaron Cheriot, MGH, MP, Senate Majority Leader, today, 24th October 2024. Thank you.
Now, Honorable Senators, I will allow comments for 15 minutes. We may have to agree the time per senator speaking to 2 minutes. So I'm going to allow comments for 15 minutes, each senator speaking for a maximum of two minutes. Yes, Senator Maruma.
When the statement by the majority leader was being read, he kept referring to the Committee of Lands, Public Works and Housing and Urban Development. What I would want to clarify is whether that committee has been changed. Because ordinarily, the committee is Lands, Environment and Natural Resources. I just wanted that clarification. Thank you, Chair.
Chair. Yes, Senator Fernandi.
Mr. Speaker, just a quick one. You remember in August 2024, I did table a letter that I had written to Parliamentary Joint Services, Mr. Speaker, and I have not received any feedback, noting that the Senate is on the session and National Assembly is not, and the services are very slow, Mr. Speaker. You remember early this week, when we resume on Tuesday, the health club was closed. Mr. Speaker, the food is not available, Mr. Speaker. You remember when we had power outage, we were told somebody who had the key to the generator was not in the house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to seek your guidance. Even I have noticed, Mr. Speaker, can you believe this? In the Facebook page called Parliament of Kenya, they carried a story that the Speaker of National Assembly attended the celebrations of Maschuja, but they didn't include even your picture or even mention that you are part of the attendees, including our majority leader, Mr. Speaker. So we are wondering whether this Parliamentary Joint Services is only working for the National Assembly. Because, Mr. Speaker, whenever we are in session, even to get a cup of tea, Mr. Speaker, here it is like we are not part of Parliament, Mr. Speaker. And I think it is the high time that Parliamentary Joint Services must be disbanded because it is unconstitutional, it is illegal. Mr. Speaker, when exchequer releases are made, let it be subdivided between the Senate and the National Assembly. We have you, Mr. Speaker, and we believe in you and the clerk and the House leadership to protect us, Mr. Speaker. We are subject to ridicule. When you go even to health club, Mr. Speaker, you are not given proper attention. Simply, they assume when National Assembly are not on session, the Parliament is not sitting, Mr. Speaker. Even small things like updating in Facebook that we are part of the people who accompany the president. Mr. Speaker, do you know it can undermine some of us politically, including you, people imagining that we are not loyal, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm just mentioning, and I need direction, Speaker, on my letter that I tabled and I discussed with you, Mr. Speaker, that I needed to know from Parliamentary Joint Services the security layout. You remember there was a security breach to this house, Mr. Speaker. On 26 June 2024, no one gave us security layout. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the insurance cover in terms of repairs of the chambers of this house, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to request members, Mr. Speaker, that we must be together in this. Parliamentary Joint Services is undermining Senate, and no wonder they are sponsoring a bill of even abolishing the Senate, Mr. Speaker. You have seen the JLAC of National Assembly are coming up with a bill to abolish us. We are facing an imminent threat, Mr. Speaker, so I need your direction so that this House can be accorded the dignity and the respect, and in fact, so that we can discharge our work, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Senator Fernandi, that matter was discussed during the Senate Business Committee meeting, and stern instructions were given to make sure that the services are offered without any interruption, despite the fact that the National Assembly is on recess. So if there are any instances that honorable senators are getting services that are not up to standards, then we can pick those specific complaints and handle them. Let's make progress, honorable senators. Yes, when when you're given opportunity to make comments in the statement, you can incorporate that, because we need to make progress. Senator Olekina, if you wish to use your 2 minutes. Order, honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fernandez. So if you wish to use your 2 minutes on what has been raised, it's up to you.
Mr. Speaker, I think my 2 minutes are important to be used on matters. I wish to comment on the statement by Senator Hamida on the status of Mama Lucy Hospital. Mr. Speaker, in your communication this afternoon, you indicated to us that the National Assembly has rejected the amendments to the DORA that we proposed. Mr. Speaker, I want to request that the members who we will appoint to be able to go to the mediation committee, let us remain focused, because we need money to go to our hospitals. We do not want a situation where 3 or 4 parents are sharing a bed. So, Mr. Speaker,
Senator,
I really would like to plead with our colleagues here that this time around we need to be able to think about how we can ring-fence money to be able to support our hospitals. In my county of Narok, we have a hospital which was funded by the World Bank. It is not complete. We need to prioritize what our priorities are, and healthcare should be one among them. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that this statement, and I sit in the Health Committee, we can actually be able to discuss how to ring-fence money. We need to improve the bed capacity. There was a point when people were talking about Mama Lucy only having 216 beds. That was increased a little bit. But the population, people are migrating. There's a lot of rural urban migration into the city. So with that in mind, we have to think of the house that protects devolution, the house that protects the healthcare, and we find a way to reduce the money which is allocated to the Ministry of Health. Because the budget allocated to the Ministry of Health is almost 6 or 7 times the amount of money which is allocated to county governments.
Senator Matthew.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Allow me to comment on the 2 statements that have been sought by our brother, the Senator for Nandi. And Honourable Speaker, I think I'll start with this statement that has been sought on the indefinite closure of Moi University. And as the Committee on Education looks at the particulars that have been raised by the Honourable Senator, Honourable Speaker, if there is one part of what we as government or what we in leadership must really focus and put our energies on, is on education. Because, Honourable Speaker, it is education that equalizes most of us, and it is education that has brought most of us here. I am happy that this statement has been sought by an alumni of Moi University. And the particulars of what have been sought here, I would be particularly interested, and I don't know whether, Honourable Speaker, this could also be extended to the Committee on Labour, because one of the issues that have been raised here, a very pertinent issue, is the prolonged industrial strike by workers. If there is one aspect of this statement that I would really want to see how the committee would deal with, is the state of the amount of money received by the university, by the from the government in the financial year 2024-2025. These guys are too noisy. Indicating the student enrollment at the university, and particularly under the new university funding framework. Honourable Speaker, Moi University is a big university. The enrollment is actually very massive. Would be wondering if a university that has such a huge enrollment is struggling in its running and they can be closed indefinitely because their workers are not there. What would become of the other smaller universities that do not have as big enrollment as Moi University? So this is a matter that is pertinent. I'm sure I would be happy to be informed by the Senator from Uasin Gishu.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and Senator for Nyandarua for allowing me to inform him that actually Moi University is no longer the university with the highest enrollment. In fact, as we speak, Moi University has the least number of students with only about 4,600 students as we speak today. Thank you very much.
Honorable Speaker, that is actually very relevant information, Honorable Speaker, because Moi University has been listed as one of the giants, academic giants that we have around. That is why it has given us the people who lead this House, led by the Leader of Majority, Honorable Aaron Cheriot, and it is very sad that it has sunk.
Just 1 minute, Senator Matthew. 1 minute.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Speaker. It is very sad, Honorable Speaker, that a giant at the level of Moi University has sunk to its being closed for indefinitely for this long, and this matter cannot be addressed. We need to understand what exactly is happening to Moi University, and it must be looked into the root. I've seen that they even have a loan of up to a tune of 3 billion. We need to understand, Honorable Speaker, how they secured this kind of a loan, how they spent this kind of money, what they did with Rivertex East African Limited, and these are issues that would make such an institution sink this deep. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, every time I stand here, I've always implored on my colleagues to always remember that we exist in a certain context. You cannot be tone deaf. On an afternoon when somebody has just brought a statement here on the dire state of affairs at the Mama Lucy Hospital in terms of the capacity to hold our women giving birth, then members stand up and start claiming that they have not been able to access a tea or mandazi or a health club. Honorable Speaker, as a member of the SPC, I am going to be pushing very hard that the conduct and pronouncement of certain members, even the bills that they bring before this House, they are costing the image of this House, Honorable Speaker, because those bills are tone deaf. How can somebody just stand up out of nowhere, propose a constitutional amendment to extend his own term when he's here and he was elected for 5 years? And then the rest of us are supposed to be dragged through this shame because people are looking for clout, bringing very useless bills here instead of addressing the things that are facing Wananchi, Honorable Speaker. Which is why I want to encourage our colleagues, because the majority of the members of this House know what brought them to this House. Some of us have never even gone to a sauna. A Bukuzu man like myself, what is a sauna? I don't know. That is not why I was sent here. I was sent here to bring money for the people of Nairobi so that the governor can complete the new maternity wing at Mama Lucy. So, Honorable Speaker, these members who repeatedly bring shame to this House by bringing up ridiculous ideas, ridiculous thoughts, and painting them as if they are the thinking of the entire House, we need to call them out, Honorable Speaker. This is not why we were elected.
Yes, very good.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I wanted to comment, Mr. Speaker, on the statement from the Senator of Trans Nzoia on the numerous bank accounts that that county has. Mr. Speaker, the same fate is befalling Tana River County. Mr. Speaker, Tana River County has 34 accounts that the executive operates. And Mr. Speaker, this is contrary to the provisions of the Public Finance Management Act. And even the Auditor General has called them out. But so far, Mr. Speaker, the executive has not tried, even attempted to close down some of those accounts. So, Mr. Speaker, I am asking the relevant committee, when they are dealing with the issue of Trans Nzoia government, they should as well deal with Tana River County, Mr. Speaker, with a view to closing down and bringing the relevant officers to account. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa pia fursa hii kuchangia taarifa, maombi ya taarifa yaliyoletwa na Seneta Hamid. Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala ya afya yanazidi kudorora katika kaunti zetu, na Mama Lucy sio pekee ambapo huduma zimelemaa na ukosefu wa fedha. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapozungumza katika hospitali ya Mrima Likoni, Mombasa County, kina mama ambao wameweza kujifungua, Mheshimiwa Spika, wameweza kuzuiliwa katika hospitali hiyo kwa sababu hawajalipa gharama za kujifungua katika hospitali hiyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, itambulike kwamba mradi wa Linda Mama ulikuwa unasaidia kina mama kujifungua katika hospitali zetu, na mbali na kwamba walikuwa hawalipishwi, vile vile walikuwa wakitoka hospitali wanatoka na zawadi ndogo ndogo ambazo zinasaidia maisha yao. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna umuhimu wa hili swala la afya kuangaliwa kwa undani zaidi, kwa sababu kila tunapochelewa kumaliza masuala ya dora, ina maana fedha zitaendelea kuchelewa katika kaunti zetu na huduma zitaendelea kudorora. Mheshimiwa Spika, malipo pia ya NHIF ambao sasa imeitwa shift pia yameweza kusimamishwa kwa sababu hospitali hazilipwi malimbukizi ya pesa ambazo zimeweza kudaiwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna umuhimu wa waziri wa afya kuja hapa katika bunge hili kueleza ni kwa sababu gani mradi wa Linda Mama umeweza kusimama, na vile vile ni lini watakapolipa pesa za NHIF, malimbukizi ya pesa za NHIF, ili hospitali zetu ziendelee kutoa huduma kwa wananchi bila matatizo. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Veronica Maina.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the statement brought to the floor of this House on the state by Senator Hamida on the state of the facilities at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. Honorable Speaker, it is terrible to imagine, Honorable Speaker, that hospital is so overcrowded that mothers who are giving birth have to share beds, Honorable Speaker. And maybe for a man, they may not understand what kind of an experience women have when they are delivering babies, Honorable Speaker. And I think, Honorable Speaker, if a budget was to be directed to any facility in this republic, it must look at the maternity wings that are in this nation, Mr. Speaker. I would urge the governor of Nairobi, together with the national government, to ensure that Mama Lucy is supported by an independent maternity wing, which is full-fledged, Honorable Speaker, with full facilities to support mothers and to ensure that we can reduce the infant mortality rate and we can make giving birth a very safe experience for the mothers, Honorable Speaker. And giving birth to a Kenyan child is a sacred duty, Mr. Speaker. Giving birth to a Kenyan child is a sacred duty that must be fully supported and fully given the care, the due regard and the care that mothers should have. And I would urge all hospitals in all counties, 47 counties, where women are being held back because of hospital bills after giving birth, should be released forthwith, and no woman should be held in hospital because they are not able to pay for their maternity bill charges right away, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Now, allow me to make the following communication. I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, visiting teachers and students from Kalyongwet Secondary School in Kericho County. The delegation comprises 2 teachers and 14 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow the Majority Leader under 1 minute to extend words of welcome.
Mr. Speaker, allow Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join in welcoming these students of Kalyangwet Secondary School. That's in Soensigawet Sub-County, Mr. Speaker, very close to my home. I hope in their visit to the Senate, Mr. Speaker, they've had opportunity to learn about business as we transacted. They're very lucky, Mr. Speaker, because this afternoon they'll get an opportunity that many visiting delegations don't get, which is to see us actually legislate and pass laws. We are about to do the third reading, Mr. Speaker, or to vote on a mediated version of a bill, the sugar bill, Mr. Speaker. And these students come from a sugarcane growing area. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I hope it will be a welcome lesson to them and they'll appreciate the art of lawmaking. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable senators. As directed, we will interrupt debate on order number 8 and move to order number 9. Upon conclusion of division, we will resume debate under order number 8. Clerk, proceed to call that order.
Order number 9, motion, report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bills number 34 of 2022. Mover to reply.
Are you the mover?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the mover of the motion is accompanying the President to an official function, and I was a seconder. I therefore request that I be allowed to reply. Mr. Speaker, sir, this particular motion has captured the imagination of this House, and very many senators, in fact, all of them have spoken in support. The senators who come from Tana River, from Kwale, from Kisumu, from Homa Bay, from Busia, from Kakamega, from Bungoma and Trans Nzoia are indeed indebted to you. These are the counties that host 8 million Kenyans whose livelihood is the sugar industry. We also want, on behalf of the business people who are involved in regular and legal importation of sugar, we want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker, all other stakeholders, including the motor industry, the border industry, the school children who live on this particular industry are indeed very grateful. Mr. Speaker, 400,000 small-scale farmers have been at risk because of this particular law called the AFA law, and with this amendment, all this has been righted, and I thank everybody, and Mr. Speaker, I wish to reply. Thank you very much.
Now, Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the division bell for 2 minutes. Now, honorable senators, this is a matter that affects counties, and therefore voting shall be by delegations. Now, Senator Mariam and Senator Beatrice Akinyi, you've been given rights to vote. So you'll vote from your seat. You don't have to come to the dispatch. Sergeant at Arms, you may now close the door and draw the bar. Honorable Senators, please kindly take your seats so that I put the question before you vote. Senator Olekina, kindly take your seat. Now, Honorable Senators, I will now put the question that the Senate adopt the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bills number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, and further that pursuant to Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 167(3) of the Senate, approve the mediated version of the bill. Now, before you vote, just log out, and Sergeant at Arms, kindly pick any unattended cards. Senator Funyamira. Senator Funyamira, Senator for Kilifi. We have not suspended our standing orders. Sergeant at Arms, if you are done collecting the unattended cards, honorable senators, you may now log back and proceed to vote. Now, honorable senators, the result of the division is as follows. Ayes 27, nays 0, abstention 0. So the ayes have it. Sergeant Tams, you may now open the door and withdraw the bar. So, honorable senators, we shall resume debate on the statements. Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity, and I wanted to make a quick comment on the statement by Senator Mida on the pathetic and deplorable status of Mama Lucy Hospital. Mr. Speaker, currently in Mama Lucy Hospital, there is a new maternity wing that is being developed with 120 beds. This maternity wing that is being developed, Mr. Speaker, has got a vision of 2 operating theaters. It has got 6 delivery beds. It has got 10 burn units, Mr. Speaker. There is 60-bed maternity lounge for preterm babies, Mr. Speaker. And if you look at the amount that this new maternity wing is being built at, Mr. Speaker, is about 344 million, Mr. Speaker. And in last year's financial year, they only got 70 million. What is the problem in this case, Mr. Speaker? It is simply an issue of money. And I think that this is the time that the Senate must stand with the whole hospitals across the country and make sure that those who will be sent to mediate the DORA bill, Mr. Speaker, ensure that we give counties money and we don't go below 400 billion. Because the key issue here is this, Mr. Speaker, money going to counties, Mr. Speaker. In fact, there is a stalled NMS maternal ICU unit in Mama Lucy, Mr. Speaker, and it mirrors the ongoing stalled project that we see across county hospitals, Mr. Speaker. Even in Migori County, there comes a time that you realize that even paying bills as simple as electricity bills, Madam.
Senator.
Mr. Speaker, as I stand to support the statement, Mr. Speaker, I beg that I be added 1 minute for the sake of all the unborn children out there, Mr. Speaker, including the one that I carry, Mr. Speaker. Just 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, it really pains me to be the individual that actually says that I'm disappointed, Mr. Speaker, not only in the county government of Nairobi, because Governor Sakaja is a governor under UDA, my party, Mr. Speaker. And I am disappointed because time and time again, when we bring issues that are dealing with women, that are dealing with children, and particularly women, Mr. Speaker, I feel as though we are talking to people who are not hearing us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I say this, I'm carefully just trying to put out the issues without being political, Mr. Speaker. But Kenya Kwanza, we signed a women charter, Mr. Speaker. And in that women charter, we promised the women of Kenya, 27 million of them, Mr. Speaker, because that is the population of females. We promised that we are going to deliver maternal health care, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at the images coming from Mama Lucy and the images that are coming from other hospitals when it comes to maternal health care, Mr. Speaker, it is very sad. And Mr. Speaker, the reason I asked for 1 more minute is because as much as this is an issue of funds and county allocation, Mr. Speaker, as a national government, Kenya Kwanza, we actually have an intention to address the women of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Until today, you know, we don't even have a minister of gender, Mr. Speaker. This is how much we think about women, Mr. Speaker. It is like those are not issues that should be, you know, discussed, Mr. Speaker. There is hope. I want to ask Governor Sakaja to remember that Pumwani had the same problems. And Pumwani Hospital, where I am actually, that is where I attend my antenatal clinics. Pumwani Hospital has actually made the turnaround, Mr. Speaker. From all the horror stories that we used to hear, Pumwani Hospital has tried and made an intentional approach, Mr. Speaker. I urge Governor Sakaja to perhaps go and sit with those people in Pumwani if they need to benchmark, so that they can do something, so that in this Mama Lucy facility, where we are talking about beds and the facilities that are there, Mr. Speaker, it is also an issue of understanding how many people are they serving and how to ensure that the women like me, who are pregnant, who are, waiting to deliver. And I like what Senator Veronica said, that our duty to bring forth life. Mr. Speaker, ask for 1 minute on behalf of the women.
Third one now.
Okay.
You have 3 seconds to conclude the third one.
Mr. Speaker, 3 seconds, even as we deliver.
Senator Osotsi.
Mr. Speaker, I want to comment on the statement by Senator Cheregei regarding the status of Moi University. Mr. Speaker, it is sad to hear what is happening at Moi University, being one of our premier universities in this country. But I want to say that I think the status of Moi University should actually inform us as politicians not to interfere with the education institution. Mr. Speaker, we remember one Professor Labanairo, who is my constituent, a very renowned professor, wanted to turn around Moi University. But he was just ejected from that university because of tribalism. And now, the professor has converted Daystar University to be the Kenyan equivalent of Harvard University. So that tells you, as leaders, we should stop interfering with the running of our universities and make them purely academic without any political interference, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard the Senator for Vihiga making allegations that Professor Airo was chased out of Moi University because of tribalism. Understanding Order 105, Honorable Speaker, because that university falls squarely in my county. I am a politician from that county. Can he substantiate? And what is the place of interviews in terms of selection of vice chancellors in this country?
Senator Osotsi,
Mr. Speaker,
kindly proceed to substantiate.
Mr. Speaker, the senator for Uasin-Gishu should first of all declare conflict of interest in this matter. Because when the good professor was being ejected from the university, he was a governor of Uasin-Gishu and is among the politicians who ejected the good professor from that university. Mr. Speaker, Professor Labanairo is my constituent. I have a right to defend him, Mr. Speaker. So, and I'm ready to defend him anywhere, including on the moon.
Senator
Mr.
Osotsi,
Speaker.
you know, you've made one more allegation. One, the first one was that the good professor was chased away of the university on tribal basis. That's one. Secondly, that the senator for Uasin-Gishu County, Senator Mandago, actually directly was involved in chasing away the professor. You need to substantiate those two allegations.
Mr. Speaker, what I'm talking about is facts, and the truth will set you free. I am ready to substantiate. It is common knowledge that Senator Mandago was the then governor of Uasin-Gishu, and together with the then senator, they participated in ejecting Professor Labanairo from Moi University. And I'm ready to substantiate, Mr. Speaker. Next week, I'm ready to substantiate.
Order, I think Senator Osotsi
I would like
for next week.
Boni Khalwale to inform me.
Yeah, Honorable Osotsi has requested for time so that he can substantiate. So Senator Osotsi will proceed to substantiate next week.
Mr. Speaker, I am ready to substantiate, and I want Dr. Boni Khalwale to inform.
All right. you can proceed to inform Senator Osotsi.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Senator of Vihiga for accepting to be informed. Senators, we should recall that a few days ago, we voted to remove Deputy President and tribalism was on the card. Mr. Speaker, a video has been doing rounds, and the person depicted is the Senator of Uasin Gishu, former Governor Mandago. And Mr. Speaker, in that video, it is recalling the role he played in removing Professor Airo. Mr. Speaker, sir, because of the seriousness of tribalism, we should call out the Senator of Uasin Gishu. Mr. Speaker, I was in this House. I remember we moved a motion and we called out.
Honorable.
I'm informing.
Honorable Senators. Senator Boni, take your seat. Senator Boni, take your seat. Order, 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 honorable senators. Senator Fernandi, you cannot rise on a point of order against a point of information. Now, honorable senators, allegations have been made, very serious allegations, by the Senator for Vihiga. He has requested for time to enable him substantiate. Senator Boni, that does not amount to information, the one you're passing. And I have not had the advantage of looking at the video, so you cannot even refer to it. So we will allow Senator Osotsi to substantiate next week. What, if you look at the standing orders, it's very clear. We go by standing orders, Majority Leader. So let's leave it there. Senator Osotsi, your time had run out. So we go to the Majority Leader. You may proceed to take your 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to speak about Mama Lucy, but now I've been distracted by the very unnecessary attacks on a colleague by none other than Boni Halwale. Mr. Speaker, you cannot allow that to remain on record. Discussing a colleague, the provisions are clearly provided for in our standing orders, Mr. Speaker. If Senator Boni Halwale wanted to discuss the conduct of Senator Jackson Mandago, it is provided for in our standing orders. Why are you allowing, Mr. Speaker, this to be a marketplace where I can rise and begin to discuss anybody, including your conduct? Mr. Speaker, that is not right.
Minority Leader.
That is not right, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader, just take your seat. You'll resume your contribution. I directed, because 2 allegations had been made. One, that the professor had been ejected from Moi University based on tribalism, and the second allegation was directed to the Senator for Uasin Gishu. And I directed Senator Osotsi to substantiate, which he sought time. So the issue of Senator Mandago being brought in here, we will hear the substantiation when we resume next week. As far as what the information the Senator for Kakamega was trying to help Senator Osotsi with, that does not amount to any information to be passed. Okay? And to the extent that it was not information helpful to Honorable Senator Osotsi, and to the extent that it touches on the conduct of one of the honorable senators in this House, then Senator Boni Halwale, you need to retract that statement and allow Senator Osotsi to come and substantiate on his allegations. Just retract and take your seat. No speeches.
Mr. Speaker, I can never retract that statement because it is a fact.
Okay, then, Senator Boni, you're out of order, and I will ask you to leave the chamber for the rest of today's sitting. Okay, Majority Leader, you may proceed.
Speaker, thank you for granting Senator Boni Alwale a chance to enjoy his favorite glass of changa early in the day. Mr. Speaker, can I quickly now...
Majority Leader, you are discussing the conduct of Senator Boni.
But he enjoys changa, that is a fact.
Just retract that statement.
That is a fact.
Order, Honorable Senator, order. Majority Leader, proceed to retract that statement.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw changa and replace it with his favorite drink, which is known anyway.
Senator, Majority Leader, conclude. You have 1 minute to go.
Mr. Speaker, quickly, now to more serious issues. Mr. Speaker, I want to add my voice to the issue of Mama Lucy Hospital that has been brought by Senator Hamida. Where Mama Lucy sits today, Mr. Speaker, is where I played football as a young boy, from the age of 2 up to the time I became an adult. The people being served in that particular hospital today are friends that I grew up with. If I was not a senator in this house, Mr. Speaker, perhaps that's where I'd be doing other duties as what has been brought about by this senator. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with the chairperson of the Health Committee to treat this matter with the urgency that is needed. If citizens of this republic are sharing 4 to 5 people, 1 hospital bed, Mr. Speaker, then the intervention of the county and the national government, Mr. Speaker, is urgently needed to alleviate the suffering that is being faced by these citizens. I beg Senator Mandago and his team of the Health Committee to treat this matter with the urgency that it deserves. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Honorable Speaker, I want to first, as I support Senator Mida's statement, I want to congratulate all the men in our lives, and especially this special man in the life of Senator Gloria Orwoba, that is going to give birth to a new Kenyan very soon. But, Honorable Speaker, my problem, Honorable Speaker, I keep wondering whether, is it fair that 60 years after independence, women have to deliver in distress, Honorable Speaker? There's 9 months that we go through being pregnant is distressed enough. Honorable Speaker, if 4 mothers or 2 mothers that have delivered are sharing a bed, it means there are 2 plus 2 youngsters sharing a bed. And Honorable Speaker, it is not only peculiar to the hospital that has been mentioned. All over the country, Honorable Speaker, in my own sub-county, I had a case of a mother giving birth in the night in darkness because there was no electricity, the generator had no DSL, and they have no solar, Honorable Speaker. So you can imagine the distress our women go through as they deliver, Honorable Speaker. The Health Committee must look at this, and not only limited to Mama Lucy, but to all the hospitals. And Honorable Speaker, I also want to support the statement by Senator Mwaruma that issues of boundaries must be looked into, and I keep wondering when the IEBC is going to be in place so that the issues of boundaries should be resolved once and for all. Honorable Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to support the statement by distinguished Senator Hamida Bwana. Honorable Speaker, we have a problem in this country, and health issues is a big, big problem in this country. Honorable Speaker, the Mama Lucy issue is not the only issue that is facing this country. Honorable Speaker, a few days ago, a hospital in Laisami's constituency had a problem. 2 people died, and they died because of a problem that can be easily managed. Antivenom. 2 people died because they didn't have the drugs that can treat snake bite. Honorable Speaker, if you look at hospitals around this country, we are in a lot of issues, a lot of problems. When the government, the national government was running hospitals, the problems were not much. Currently, Honorable Speaker, you can go to a hospital. I even said these things about 3 weeks ago. You can go to a hospital. You'll be given list of what you're going to bring. List of bed sheets, list of pillows, slippers, mugs, basins, so many things, Honorable Speaker. I don't know where we're heading. On the issue of chief, Honorable Speaker, I think this is the best thing so far our president has done. Pay as you earn. You pay according to your salary. And that is very, very good. But the problem we are facing currently, Honorable Speaker, is you can go to a hospital and you cannot be given any service because...
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to commend the statement on Moi University. Honorable Speaker, in the late 80s, Moi University was, and even 90s and early 2000, was a premier university, second to University of Nairobi, Honorable Speaker. And I don't know what became of them to even buy Rivertex at 3 billion, take a loan of 3 billion to buy Rivertex, and they are not into the business of textile, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it's also important to note that as leaders, especially from the region and across the country, it is important to leave institutions of higher learning, Honorable Speaker, independent so that they can run professional, Honorable Speaker. An institution like Rift Valley Technical Training Institute is now bigger than Moi University. Eldoret National Polytechnic is having more students than Moi University, Honorable Speaker. It is true that when the position for Vice Chancellor for Moi University came up, Honorable Speaker, somehow leaders from that region, including myself, could have influenced because we wanted our own, which was wrong. We should have left it. We should have left the Public Service Commission or the council to employ competitively and get a proper person to run the university. Recently, Moi University students went on strike. They wanted back the former acting VC, who is now in Daystar, to come back to save the university, Honorable Speaker. You know, we should be truthful to ourselves. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Karoche Tabitha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me also this opportunity. And I want also to support the motion brought by Senator Hamida. She's talked of the Mama Lucy Hospital, and I think as my fellow senators put it, we should really be very, very careful and serious on the hospitals, and especially the maternity, across both the board, but especially the maternity hospitals. I know when I remember Mama Lucy, I remember about Nakuru County, where we have Margaret Kenyatta, Mothers and Baby Hospital Unit, that is at the Nakuru PGH. It has over 320 beds and is one of the best hospitals we have in this country. Built during the last regime, costed about 300 million. But since we came in, that's about 2 years now, in the current administration, the services of the hospital has gone down due to the disruption of the medical personnel. They were fired, and the employed medical doctors or medical workers in that Margaret Kenyatta and Mothers Baby Unit, their qualifications are in doubt. Mismanagement of the funds corrected on a daily basis is also mismanaged. So the question is, we can understand when it comes to Kaja, Senator Sakaja in Nairobi, but the counties that are led by women, who understands what women go through, especially to bring our newborn baby to this life, and then.
Senator Abbas. Senator Tabitha, you had 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Senator Bass.
I don't mind giving one minute.
Proceed to take 1 minute from Senator Bass.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me that opportunity again. We will not allow counties that are led by women to deteriorate the maternity hospitals in our watch, when we know that they understand what the mothers go through to bring, to bring down a newborn baby. Like now we have one of ours, Gloria, she can attest to this. And us who've given birth, we know. But now, the other thing, Mr. Speaker, sir, this committee chairman, especially for health, led by Madago, he needs to understand, when we bring these motions here, he needs to ensure that he follows it up. We have a hospital in Nakuru War Memorial Hospital that everybody has been crying about.
What is out of order about the Honourable Senator for Nakuru?
Honourable Speaker, I would not have wanted to disrupt my neighbour, but for records, Standing Order 116, a senator shall refer to another senator by the title senator. We all heard the senator for Nakuru, our deputy leader of majority, refer to the chair of the health committee as Mandago, and I think that is grossly out of order.
Senator Tabitha, kindly correct that statement.
Thank you for reminding me. It's because of the way I'm annoyed, but I understand. Sorry, Senator Madago, the chairman of the Committee of Health. And I know even the Senator for Land. I know there's been a complaint about the Nakuru War Memorial Hospital. Senator for Land, Senator for the chairman of Land, who is Senator Medhu, you need to do your work. When it comes to Senator of Health, Senator Madago, you need to do your work. The Nakuru people are crying for you. Please, we will need to see you down in Nakuru. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Senator. Madam Speaker, I want to join my colleagues to support for the statement of Senator Hamida.
Senator Bass, were you allowed to take the floor?
Yes, I give 1 minute to...
Oh, okay.
I granted 1 minute.
Okay, proceed.
To the Senator Nekuru. Honourable Speaker, I want to support the statement of Hamida, Senator Hamida. Honourable, as you are aware, actually it is not only in Mamalusi Hospital, but I think the situation in this country, for the health situation in this country of hospitals, is actually very, very deplorable and unfortunate situation. Honourable Speaker, as you are aware, Mamalusi actually is situated in the Eastlands, where the highest population of this city are living. And you expect many of them cannot even afford to pay for those services. But then the unfortunate thing is Nairobi County is receiving a substantial amount of revenue collections. And I therefore request the governor to at least increase the number of beds and services. Honourable Speaker, generally speaking, the national government actually receives the highest budget for health services. But they have only few hospitals to take care of. And those hospitals should be able to at least provide the necessary services. As you're aware, Honourable Speaker, the county is actually experiencing a lot of challenges in terms of drug supply. The money is delayed. The money actually, they get their money in 1 quarter, or maybe over 6 months, 3 months, and they cannot even provide drugs in time. And therefore, health services in the counties are actually almost failing, just because these counties are not receiving their monies in time, so that they can be able to buy drugs and pay their services of the doctors and the other medics. Honourable Speaker, the social services like renal issues, HIV treatments, and all these things are now facing a lot of challenges in the counties, and therefore the counties are employing more staff. They are opening more hospitals.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Omar Sheikh Mariam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker,
I add my voice to statement raised by Senator Hamida on Mama Lucy. Madam Speaker, it's almost a year. There is a petition raised by a family of a mother who passed away in Mama Lucy. And as a Committee of Health, we tackle, and there's so many recommendations the committee put. Madam Speaker, if those recommendations cannot be implemented, what is the function of these statements, petitions, motions? I don't know why this recommendation is not implemented. Madam Speaker, the other one is about education system. Madam Speaker, there is a freedom of religion. Madam Speaker, most of our schools, be it private or public, there's no a special place for prayer for Muslim students. And again, some of the students, of Muslim students, are forced to do to learn Christian religion. That means the students are forced not to do IRE because they don't want to. The management will not allow the student to prosper in their religion. Madam Speaker, when it comes to this health issue, the SHA normally
Senator Mariam, you'll have half a minute. Finish the sentence.
Madam Speaker, SHA tackles level 2 up to level 5. And if Mama Lucy is level 5, and if it is pathetic like that, do you think that this SHA issue can be implemented properly? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Mofaya Gataya Mwende.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to contribute on the statement of Mama Lucy. And I want to say that when I remember Mama Lucy, Madam Speaker, I remember it with a lot of nostalgia. I remember I lost my niece there, I think some 2-3 years ago, because of sheer neglect and irresponsible medical staff. And Madam Speaker, across the country, I think I would call upon the Committee on Health to give this House a detailed report on the status of health facilities. Because, Madam Speaker, quite a number of health facilities are relatively dilapidated. There is nothing to show. No. The staff are just very relaxed, Madam Speaker. And I think it is their time that the committee must move with speed and make sure that this House gets to know the status of healthy condition in our country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Madago.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I will request for extra 3 minutes because the matter of health is in my committee, and I also want to comment on Senator Cherarge's statement. Honorable Speaker, on the matter of health, and as a chair of Health Committee, we have had opportunity to visit a number of counties, Honorable Speaker. We have had opportunity to visit Mama Lucy, Honorable Speaker. And in our meeting, Honorable Speaker, for Mama Lucy, we met a raft of recommendations. And as I stand here, Honorable Speaker, I would want to say that after our review, the county government of Nairobi has actually made some improvements in the areas that we had already asked that they address and attend to. Honorable Speaker, this being a new statement, we would wish as a committee to be given time to be able to visit and fact-find on that matter. But Honorable Speaker, realizing that over 10,200 facilities are in counties and requires the attention of the Senate Health Committee, Honorable Speaker, I'll be proposing to this House that we actually convert the whole senators, 67 of us, Honorable Speaker, on a particular period of time to be members of the Health Committee so that we can disperse these senators to make field visits, Honorable Speaker. From our field visits, there has been tremendous improvement in a number of facilities that we have visited, including Longisa in Bomet, Kisii Level 5 facility in Kisii County, and even Mombasa Level 5 facility and in Kwale County, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as a committee, we are seized of the matters that have been raised by Senator for Nakuru, Senator Kiroche, and we are going to take action, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me now to comment on the statement by Senator Cherargei, Honorable Speaker, concerning Moi University. Honorable Speaker, I would want to say from the onset that the problems of Moi University, I would say, are the most misunderstood problems, Honorable Speaker. And I want to summarize this way, Honorable Speaker. Moi University today is in the situation it is, not because of a management issue, Honorable Speaker, but because of a government policy of increasing access to university education in this country. It should not be lost on Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, and those who make comments to the extent of thinking that Moi University has been mismanaged, Honorable Speaker, that Moi University has nurtured, and now they are fully fledged universities, 9 of them, Honorable Speaker. The loan that the Honorable Senator for Nyandarua was talking about, Honorable Speaker, is a loan that was taken to acquire Kakoji Tea Training Center in Karatina, Honorable Speaker, for purposes of training by Karatina University. Honorable Speaker, when Moi University nurtured all these universities, they used their own resources to nurture and bring up those universities. Honorable Speaker, when those universities were made fully fledged, all the loans and the expenses were left with Moi University, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, how do you expect Moi University to pay for a loan for Kakoji Training Center in Karatina, used by Karatina University, Honorable Speaker? The logical thing that should have happened during transition was to transfer the loan to Karatina University. In total, the amount of money utilized by Moi University to establish 9 universities in this country, to create access to higher education in this country, Honorable Speaker, amounts to close to 13 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, just the other day, because I think people are on a rush, on a takeover mood of all the assets of Moi University, Ministry of Industry took over Rivertex, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Moi University revived the Rivertex, invested their 3.7 billion for purposes of training textile engineers for this country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a nation that is importing clothes. When we have opportunity to grow cotton in Nyando, in Elgeyo Marakwet, the Kerio Valley, and banditry using agriculture, but Ministry of Industry has woken up one fine morning, declared it a parastatal for the ministry, 3.7 billion for Moi University is there. All that we hear is Moi University has been mismanaged. I dare say, national government must take responsibility. National Assembly has the responsibility of budgeting at least 15 billion Kenya shillings to get Moi University out of the woods that the government, as a policy, put Moi University into it, Madam Speaker. Finally, Madam Speaker, it is difficult to even understand how COOPS can decide that Moi University, with a declared capacity of 14,000 students, gets 6,000 students in an enrollment, Honorable Speaker, while a small university like Kisii University, Madam Speaker, which was started the other day, sitting in some few acres of land, Madam Speaker, gets 16,000. What is the rationale that has...
Your time is over. We are done with the statement hour. We will proceed on to the next agenda, agenda number 8. The next order.
Order number 8, the Street Naming and Property Addressing System Bill, Senate Bills number 43 of 2024, first reading, a bill for an act of parliament to provide for the procedure and guidelines for an addressing system for each county and for naming of streets and public places in counties and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 10, motion, report of the Mediation Committee on the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 33 of 2023.
I want to call the Chairperson Mediation Committee to move the motion. Senator Methu.
It is this one. It is. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to move the report of the Mediation Committee on the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, this Mediation Committee started its work on Thursday, 19 September 2024, pursuant to Article 113(4) of the Constitution of Kenya. And the committee was able to agree on a version of the bill within 30 days from the first sitting. Honorable Speaker, the Water Amendment Bill, Bill number 33 of 2023, was published on the 4th of,
Senator Matthew, can you approach the clerk's desk?
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the motion that the Senate adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, and further, that pursuant to Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 167(3) of the Senate approves the mediated version of the bill. Then I'll proceed to move. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 144 of the National Assembly Standing Orders and Article 110 of the Constitution, the bill was forwarded for the consideration by the Senate. I want to go, Honorable Speaker, to the specific clauses that we worked on, but I would want to say that the committee held a total of 6 sittings, with the first meeting held on Thursday, the 19th of September 2024, and concluded its sittings on Wednesday, 9th October 2024. That was within the 30 days that has been provided for by our standing orders. The committee considered the clauses of the bill that were under mediation and subsequently agreed on a version of the bill. Honorable Speaker, I want to start with clause 4 of the bill because I believe this was the crust of what was in contention between ourselves and the team from the National Assembly. And I'm very happy that we were able to agree on a mediated version. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered clause 4 and concurred with the proposal by the Senate to delete the proviso that provided that a national public water works shall not be transferable to a county government, be dropped to allow for the non-transferability of national public water works. Section 8 of the Water Act, Cap 372, sets out national public water works that are intended to serve a national government function and are financed by the national government share of the national revenue pursuant to the Public Finance Management Act, and hence the same way not transferable to counties. Further, some of these national public water works cut across counties, and therefore it will pose an administrative challenge to determine which county to transfer such public works. Honorable Speaker, just to make it very easy, especially for my colleagues, on this particular clause, it was the proposal of the Senate that we should delete a proviso that national public water works shall not be transferable to the county, but after what we discussed at the Mediation Committee, after a national public work is complete, the Water Work Development Authority may not or shall not be required to transfer it to the counties because, Honorable Speaker, it shall remain as the body that will be dealing with the bulk water, then it shall transfer it to the water service provider. The reason why we in the Committee of Water had initially thought that it is important that we transfer this to the county governments was so that we try and be compliant with the Constitution because, Honorable Speaker, you know, according to Schedule 4 of the Constitution of Kenya, water and sanitation are preserved of the county government. So we were wondering how, if projects that are completed by the national government are not handed over to the county governments, how then will we be compliant such that the national government shall not be dealing with water to do with water and sanitation. But the cure, and to allay the fears of the Senate and to allay the fears of the senators when we first passed this bill, Honorable Speaker, waterworks development authorities, their scope will only be limited to the bulk water. It will not be in terms of last mile. Once they are done with the water with the project, they will hand it over to water service providers. In this case, it will be counties. Honorable Speaker, it would have been very difficult to transfer a national water work project if it is it cuts between 2-3 counties. Honorable Speaker, case on point is that the Karimeno Water Project is a project that runs to 3 counties, Kiambu, Nairobi, and Machakos. So it would have been very difficult to transfer it. I mean, it would be even difficult to determine which county it will go to. Whereas the bill provides that waterwork bulk purchase agreements will be subject to Public-Private Partnerships Act, which provides for a general framework for the feasibility and approval of PPP projects across the various sectors under Section 32. This does not preclude adding more specific requirements for the water sector given the unique nature of the water services. The role of the Water Services Regulatory Board as a regulator is crucial in ensuring these projects meet high standards. Honorable Speaker, I want to quickly then run to Clause 2, that the committee considered Clause 2 and noted that the National Assembly had rejected the Senate's amendment to include the definition of a joint committee. And to make it then very quick, again, Honorable Speaker, once the project is now not being transferred to the counties, it will not be necessary then to have joint committees. So the Senate's proposal to have defined joint committees was linked to the transferability of national waterworks, and as the mediation committee had agreed to drop the proposal for transferability in Clause 4, the committee observed that the definition of joint committees was no longer necessary. So it was easy to agree on this one, Honorable Speaker. Allow me then to also quickly run to Clause 3, an amendment to Section 32 on the powers and functions of the Water Storage Authority. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered Clause 3 and agreed that the proposal by the Senate on the requirement to subject bulk water purchase agreements to an economic efficiency criteria set by the Regulatory Board be dropped and instead include the Water Services Regulatory Board, WASREB, to be among the bodies to be consulted whenever water storage authorities enter into a bulk water purchase agreement. I think this one, Honorable Speaker, is a bit straightforward. Whereas the bill provides that the bulk water purchase agreements will be subject to the Public-Private Partnership Act, which provides a general framework for the feasibility and approval of the PPP projects across the sectors under Section 32. This does not preclude adding more specific requirements for the water sector, given the unique nature of the water services. The role of the Water Services Regulatory Board, WASREB, as the regulator is crucial. And in a subsequent clause, Honorable Speaker, you see that we have reinforced this particular clause, Honorable Speaker. And allow me, I'll keep jumping so that we are able to flow with how we amended or we agreed on this mediated version. I want to then go to Clause 7, Honorable Speaker, an amendment to Section 72 on the powers and functions of the Regulatory Board. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered Clause 7, which outlines the powers and functions of the Regulatory Board to evaluate and recommend water tariffs. The committee concurred with the Senate proposal to separate WASREB's authority to evaluate and recommend water and sewerage tariffs for water service providers from its authority and evaluate and recommend bulk water tariffs for Water Works Development Authority. Honorable Speaker, you recall that bulk water would then be a preserve of Water Works Development agencies, and it is fair that we allow and we do not put them together, such that the tariff for bulk water is the same as the tariff for the water that is being provided by water service providers, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, most of this water is actually the water that now goes to the consumer. So if we allow the water that is going to the consumer to have the same tariffs as the water that is being provided for at the bulk level by the Waterworks Development Authorities agencies, Honorable Speaker, we shall make water a very expensive commodity, and we have to protect the people of Kenya, and that is why we had to set in this particular clause. That is clause or section 72(1)(c), which already provides that WASREP's role in evaluating and recommending water and sewerage tariffs for water service providers and the bill needed to distinctly address the evaluation, recommendation, and approval for processes for bulk water tariffs. We had to have them separate, Honorable Speaker. I then go to clause 6, handover of completed works. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered clause 6 of the bill, which outlines the handover of completed works, and rejects the Senate's proposal to hand over National Public Waterworks Authority, waterworks to county governments. It is the same explanation that I had given earlier, Honorable Speaker, that number one, some of these counties, some of these projects are trans-counties. They transfer in different counties. So it will be difficult to even administer such a project that runs in 3 counties, even agreeing upon which this county, which county this project will be handed over to, it would be administratively a challenge. So we ceded to this proposal by the National Assembly, just as we had agreed. And Honorable Speaker, it's also important to note that the mother intention of this bill is that we can create a framework for making water a tradable commodity so that private people can be able to engage in water projects, and the easiest people to engage with are the waterworks development authorities. So it will be difficult then, if a private person is the one that developed this project, then it has been handed over to a county, and the agreement had been entered with the Waterworks Development Authority. It would be a very unneat situation. Please, Honorable Speaker, allow me to then go to clause 5. Section 72 of the Water Act, Cap 372, empowers the regulatory board to publish the regulatory standards without the approval of the Cabinet Secretary. For consistency with the provisions of the law, and in order for WASDEP to maintain the independence and autonomy in its operation, WASDEP, the regulatory board, should be empowered to set national standards for the water, for the provision of water services and asset development for water services providers without approval of the Cabinet Secretary. Honorable Speaker, I'm sure from what I have read, you know what we are protecting, what we are trying to protect, Honorable Speaker. It is now an overreach by especially the executive through the Cabinet Secretaries, Honorable Speaker, in a body that is independent, that has been tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that they are the ones that are setting tariffs, and they are the ones that are publishing regulatory standards. So for it to require another approval by a Cabinet Secretary, we feel that this would be an overreach of the executive, Honorable Speaker. We need to protect the water, the WASREP from this overreach by the executive, and that is why we in the mediation committee actually agreed on this particular mediated version of this particular section of the law. However, pursuant to Section 2 and 22 of the Statutory Instruments Act guidelines, the statutory instruments, and consequently there is a requirement for the publication in the Gazette. Section 2 of the Statutory Instruments Act includes guidelines in the definition of the statutory instruments as follows. Statutory instruments mean any rule, order, regulation, direction, form, tariff of, cost of fees, letters, patent, commissions, warrant, proclamation by law, resolution, guideline, or any other statutory instrument issued, made, or established in the execution of a power conferred by or under an act of Parliament under which the statutory instrument or subsidiary legislation is expressly authorized to be issued. So whereas Section 22 provides for the publication of the statutory instruments, subject to Section 2, every statutory instrument shall be published in the Kenya Gazette and shall be assigned a serial number as of the year and that kind of a thing, Honorable Speaker, but what was agreed upon in this particular section of this particular law is that the Cabinet Secretary shall not have to approve or superintend over work that has already been delegated to the water, to WASREB, the regulatory body. Honorable Speaker, allow me then to go to clause 11. There are not very many clauses that we were dealing with at the mediation level, Honorable Speaker. So I'm not very far from through. I'm actually just 2 sections away from through. Honorable Speaker, clause 11 is an amendment to section 14 of the objects of the Water Sector Trust Fund. And Honorable Speaker, before I read what is in this mediated version, allow me to express my great displeasure because we invited the Water Trust Fund, the leadership of the Water Trust Fund, to appear before the committee of the Senate, before it appeared before the before the mediation committee. And what we have been trying to protect, Honorable Speaker, is a proposal to allow Waterworks Development Authority to partake upon the budget of the Water Sector Trust Fund. Honorable Speaker, and I would have wished to refer to the Constitution, and I know those who comment after me will tell you that the reason why the Water Sector Trust Fund was mooted, and the reason why it is part of the government agencies that we have, is so that they can be able to reach where Waterworks Development Authorities cannot get to go, Honorable Speaker. In fact, specifically it is there in law that for them, their appraiser or their budgets are supposed to go to the most rural parts of this republic, Honorable Speaker, where it would be economically not viable for any either county government or the national government. They will find it not economically viable to provide water to the people who live in such areas, Honorable Speaker. It is this inequality that necessitated the formation of the Water Sector Trust Fund. So we felt bad that they didn't support the position that had been taken by the Senate, that we should not allow WWDs, that is the Waterworks Development Agencies, from partaking from their budget. Because, Honorable Speaker, this was our argument. Where does the funding of the Water Sector Trust Fund come from? They get their funding from Exchequer, they get their funding from partners, they get their funding from donors. Where does the budget of the Waterworks Development Authority come from? They get their budget from the Exchequer, they get their budget from the partners, they get their budget from the donors. Why is it that you are getting your budgets from the same source, but you want to partake from a budget of the other agency? Why did they want to open up that budget to the Waterworks Development Authority? And more importantly, again, Honorable Speaker, because it is important that I canvass on this particular proposal in law. The budget of the Water Sector Trust Fund for the year 2024-2025 was about 4.7 billion, just 4.7 billion. If you are to divide 4.7 billion, it was actually 4.3 billion, not 4.7. If you are to divide 4.7 billion, Honorable Speaker, with the number of counties that we have, that would be about 90 million. If they were just to share that money equally, it would just be 90 million. 90 million, Honorable Speaker, for every county, including the county that you come from, Nairobi, or the county that you come from, Muranga, or the county that the senators who are here. I would want the senator for Busia to tell us, or the senator from Tana River to tell us, or the senator from West Pokot to tell us, how much would 90 million? What project, what major or big project can be undertaken by any serious government agency with 90 million for a whole county like Tana River, that we now have so much that we can share with the Waterworks Development Authorities, Honorable Speaker, whose budget runs in tens of billions? Why would they want to partake these small budgets that are meant for a small dam in Tana River, a small dam in Busia, a borehole in some place in Busia that is so remote that the Waterworks Development Authorities cannot get, that the county government of Busia cannot get to such a place, Honorable Speaker? So we felt very disappointed that the Water Sector Trust Fund and their leadership did not want to support this, but we are happy that we are able to convince our colleagues from the National Assembly that they support this particular proposal by the Senate. So the committee agreed with the Senate's proposal to delete clause 11 of the bill that proposed to amend section 114 of the Water Act to expand the mandate of the Water Sector Trust Fund by broadening the scope of its entities to which the fund caters. And by the way, the reason that was given by the Water Sector Trust Fund is that most of the donors who want to give money, they don't have a lot of trust with the waterworks development agencies. So, Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say that they wanted to cure diarrhea by sewing the exit, but it looked more like it. There is need to protect the integrity and the purpose of the Water Trust Fund. It is what I've been explaining on this particular clause. Finally, allow me then to go to clause 12, an amendment to section 119 of the Water Tribunal. It was a proposal of the Senate, Honorable Speaker, that since water is a devolved function, it is fair that we allow the Council of Governors to nominate members who shall be sitting in the Water Tribunal. But it also came to our notice, especially from our legal people, that we have to reject that particular proposal. Because if a tribunal is supposed to be an umpire, why then do you need to bring players? Or why would you allow players to nominate people to sit in this particular tribunal? Article 169 of the Constitution of Kenya establishes subordinate courts, including local tribunals, established by an Act of Parliament. So in exercising judicial authority under Articles 159 and 160 of the Constitution, tribunals ought to be independent. It is this that informed our decision, Honorable Speaker, of agreeing to reject our own proposal, that we have the Council of Governors nominate 2 people to sit in this tribunal. Because if this tribunal is to be independent, then we must ensure that we remove all the players, either nomination by the Cabinet Secretary, either nomination by the Council of Governors, or any player, so that the tribunal can be independent. I think it is the same case for the House Business Tribunal, it is the same case for the Rent Business Tribunal, and all the other tribunals that have been formed in law. It is a preserve of the judiciary to nominate the people who should sit there. It is like, to make it easier, Honorable Speaker, it is like parties being allowed to nominate judges who shall be hearing their matters. It will be very difficult. In the very matter that is before court this afternoon, if I was allowed to nominate a judge, you know, the judge would be very biased because I'm a party to whatever is the proceedings. So the Water Tribunal, as proposed in the bill, is being, under the Water Act, hears dispute related to the implementation of the Water Act. This tribunal itself, Honorable Speaker, is meant to address all the disputes that would come. If there's a dispute on tariffs that have been set by WASREP, they are supposed to be heard by this tribunal. Before if the parties agree, they can go to the superior courts. But if then they are meant to hear these disputes emanating from the Water Act, Honorable Speaker, all the players that have been mentioned in this Water Act then should be kept away from the tribunal so that the tribunal can be independent. So as an arbiter, it is prudent that the tribunal's membership remains as neutral as possible. So as I move on, Honorable Speaker, because that shall be my last clause, I would also want to thank the members of the committee because, Honorable Speaker, it is important to note that the committee that I chair has been dealing with 3 mediations at a go on a week that was very difficult, you know, Honorable Speaker. A week before the 2 impeachments that we had, and the week that we had the impeachments, Honorable Speaker, and we had a mediation on this Water Act. We had another mediation that is coming up, Honorable Speaker, on the National Rating Bill, and we had the final one on the Senator Mungatana Bill on the benefit sharing that is still something that the committee is dealing with. So I thank the members of the committee that they were able to commit a lot of their time so that we can be able to deal with these pieces of legislation. With those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I wish to invite the Senator for Nandi to second this motion. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Senator. Senator Chiradike Samson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I want to take this opportunity.
Please take
Madam
note of,
Speaker, sorry. Madam Speaker, thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to second this motion of the mediated version of water bill. I want to thank the chairperson, who coincidentally is our chair of lands, environment. For I don't know how long he will be, but we want to wish him well, Mr. Speaker. So, Madam Speaker,
Senator Charariki, what are you insinuating by saying you do not know how long he will be chair of standing committee on lands and natural resources? Are you insinuating at removal of the chairperson, or resigning, or otherwise exiting from his duties as the chair of this committee?
Madam Speaker, you know, after 5 years, we'll go and seek for mandate, unless we add more. But the point I try to make, that it will reach a time he will be reassigned maybe to another committee as a chair, or lighter duties.
Are you privy to such information,
Yeah,
which you
I'm
need to
privy.
disclose to the House?
No, I'm privy, but I've told him in confidence. So, but he's doing a good job. That one does not mean that he's not doing a good job.
Proceed.
And Madam Speaker, you need to protect Metu from the majority leader, because you can see the excitement of majority leader on the matter. I want to congratulate Senator John Medu, one of our youngest senators in the House, for proving time and again that he is equal to the task. And we are very proud that as a young senator, one of the youngest senator, Madam Speaker, he continues to demonstrate good leadership skills both in the committee and in the mediation. And it shows the confidence of the House leadership, led by the majority leader, to assign him to such very serious tasks. I want to, secondly, to mention water is life, Madam Speaker. We normally say that. Water is critical. Water is important. But the sad story is that accessibility of water here in Nairobi or any other parts is still a challenge, especially in eastern, northeastern, and Nairobi, Madam Speaker. And I said last time that there is no difference, Madam Speaker, between access to water of people in northern Kenya and eastern and Nairobi. Because Nairobi, it comes like a doctor's appointment. You are never sure when water will be available in our taps. And I think this is a big challenge. And when we get legislative interventions led by the Senator Medu's committee to try and come up with such, we don't take it for granted. Madam Speaker, let me begin with the clause number 11, where the National Assembly wanted Water Sector Trust Fund to include, yet it is counties, Senator has explained very well, that fund this Water Sector Trust Fund. It is critical because these Water Sector Trust Funds, Madam Speaker, are used for water and sanitation. Madam Speaker, the projection, for example, in Kapsabet town, we have over 87,000 population. Yet we depend water supply that is being pumped through electricity and generator, Madam Speaker. Because we are still waiting to have establishment of Keben Dam, Madam Speaker, that will ensure there is access to water to Kapsabet town. Madam Speaker, the reason I'm making this point is under United Nations Population Fund, in 2020, there is an massive movement of rural urban, Madam Speaker. And therefore, it is very critical in access of water. There are many upcoming towns, especially in our counties. Wherever you come, for example, in Nandi, we have almost 10 upcoming trading centers, all the way in 6 sub-counties in Nandi. For example, and this growth.
What's your point of
continues
order, Senator Hamida?
Madam Speaker, under Standing Order 41, I think this is an important matter in terms of water, Madam Speaker, and I can see we don't have quorum.
Clerk, can you confirm quorum? Let's have the quorum bell ring for 10 minutes.
Enda waite basi. Sababu wewe ndio umeleta hii shida yote. Lakini surely guys, stop misusing this standing order. We need to remove.
Well, we now have the quorum bell at the Senate on ring mode after Senator Hamida Kiboana stood on standing orders number 41 to notify the Speaker that the House did not have the requisite quorum to continue with the debate on the report of the Mediation Committee on the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 33 of the year 2023, according to the Senator. The issue of water is a crucial aspect in the country and ought to be debated when the House has quorum. And guided by the standing orders of the Senate, the Speaker, at the moment, Senator Veronica Maina, has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes so that senators within the presence of Parliament can make their way back to the chamber to the necessitation of the quoration of the House to continue with the debate. The debate on the floor is a report of the Mediation Committee on Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 33 of the year 2023. And why is it a report of the Mediation Committee is by the mere fact that the House selected some of its members to sit with their counterparts at the National Assembly to come up with a mediated version of the report on matters Water Amendment Bill. Let's now have a look at the Water Amendment Bill number 23. It is an act of Parliament seeking to amend the Water Act of 2016 to provide for the public-private partnership arrangements for the connected purposes. So in case you're wondering what the Water Amendment Bill number 33 of the year 2023 seeks to achieve, this bill seeks to, among others, provide for powers and functions of waterworks development agencies, which shall be to undertake the development, maintenance, and management of the national public waterworks within the areas of their jurisdictions. The water development agencies are also set to operate the waterworks and provide water services as water service providers until such a time as the responsibility for the operation and management of waterworks are handed over to the county governments, joint committees, authority of the county government, or water service providers within the area of their jurisdiction or supply of the waterworks are located. the Waterworks Development Agency is equally required to provide a reserve capacity for the purposes of providing water services, where pursuant to sections 103, the regulatory board orders that there is transfer of water services functions from the defaulting water service providers to other licensees. Well, the Senate this afternoon, the members of the Senate have been making their ways back into the chamber this afternoon to allow the House raise quorum to continue with the debate on the report of the Mediation Committee on the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 33 of the year 2023. Allow me to hand you over back to the chamber.
It's right away. So Senator Chiradige, take the floor. Please give him the mic.
Madam Speaker, I just want to make 4 points on this mediated version of the water bill. I was on clause number 11, where we were saying that this water sector trust fund should remain with counties. Madam Speaker, because most of the funding comes from the counties, and I was just informing the House that, Madam Speaker, with the affordable housing program of the government, now we need water and sanitation, Madam Speaker. I can give you statistics on the benefit of the House, that according to the Population Kenya Bureau of Statistics, in 2023, we had more than 16,265,693 Kenyans in urban areas, Madam Speaker. And this was an increase of 3.81%, because in 2022, we have close to 15.6 million Kenyans that were in urban areas. So it means access to water and sanitation will become very critical, and therefore the intention of National Assembly to thin the water trust fund was very unfortunate, but I'm happy that they agreed with our proposal that since most of the funding that goes to water sector trust funds should remain with counties, and therefore it is very critical. Even, for example, even in my own Kapsabet town, has only a population of 87,000, but access to water is very challenging. The last time water project was launched was during Charity Ngilu when she was the minister, and we are using water, we are using electricity and generator, Madam Speaker. We are depending on Keben Water Project, which the government should start, and also what we call, Madam Speaker, Kipkaren Dam, that is almost to completion, that will feed water to Mosoria Town and Kabie Town, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and therefore this is very important. Clause number 12, on the Water Tribunal, it is not gainsaid. I want to agree, Madam Speaker, that it is very critical that you cannot choose your judge. I agree with the decision of both the National Assembly and the Senate, that you cannot choose members who will sit in water tribunal because they will become biased. The aspect of neutrality should be very critical in water tribunal, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on clause number 6, I agree in the issue of waterworks. Both clause 6 and 7, as I conclude, Madam Speaker, is we should have a handing over. I said yesterday, Waterworks Development Authority, WDDS, Madam Speaker. Like, for example, Nandi, we are under Lake Victoria North Waterworks, Madam Speaker. But when you see most projects go to Kakamega and Vihiga, yet Nandi, we don't benefit. Even on the issue of, Madam Speaker, of even drilling boreholes in schools and urban centers, these waterworks, Madam Speaker, should be regulated properly. And in fact, when we say WASREP, even in water tariffs, I have seen there is a proposal to have what we call private-public partnership, Madam Speaker, in terms of water. And therefore, even on the issue of water bulk sell agreements. We must give the regulator what's rep, Madam Speaker, so that water tariffs. And I said yesterday, I want to repeat, when you go to a place called Japas in Mexico, Madam Speaker, it is where the most of the Coca-Cola is consumed. Because there, Coca-Cola is more cheaper than water. If our country, we will have more expensive, Madam Speaker, where we have water more expensive than other beverages, that what majority leader referred to, some of the favorite drinks of some of the individuals in the house, then that society collapses, Madam Speaker, because clean access water. And when you go to Chiapas in Mexico, and it is on record.
Senator Chiradi, are you aware that the Honorable Majority Leader was asked to withdraw the reference to those drinks?
Madam Speaker, but only on the word changa, but replaced with a favorite drink. I thought that was and the Speaker allowed it. I have said, Madam Speaker, favorite drink. Everybody has a favorite drink, including Senator Eddy and even Senator Chute. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, and therefore, even in the water tariffs, in conclusion, is we must have WASREP as a regulator. So that, Madam Speaker, you can see there are so many water tankers in the city. It is very expensive for families. And you remember, Madam Speaker, 60% of households spend on food. Food being part of domestic water that's used for drink. Madam Speaker, are you aware, or the House should be aware, that the moment you have people accessing not very clean water, Madam, there will be many diseases. What that one translates, Madam Speaker, there will be use of treatment. What does it mean, drugs? What does it mean? It means that there will be use of a lot of resources to treat treatable diseases by consuming clean water, Madam Speaker. On waterworks, Madam Speaker, I want to say it is very important, especially on waterworks, that waterworks must, I agree they can run Carmenu, they can run Tuaga Dam, they can run what do we call Itare, Posta, Keben, Sondu, Two Rivers, wherever the dams are, Madam Speaker. But the issue of last mile, and I want to thank the committee, Madam Speaker, members should listen to this. The issue of last mile should be left to the counties. The county should be the ones that should do the last mile distribution of water at that point in time, Madam Speaker. So this mediated version, Madam Speaker, and in line with that, Madam Speaker, is very critical, the issue of water. I request that we agree on this mediated on the Water Bill 2023, Madam Speaker, by agreeing that all of us, we must have a discussion on the basis, Madam Speaker, going into the future. And Madam Speaker, just in conclusion, to call upon members, Madam Speaker, that I'm happy in conclusion that Senator Amida is back, because we really supported a statement on the issue of health. You know, when you consume water that is not safe, you become sick. When you become sick, you go to the hospital. When you go to the hospital, you become, the budget of running hospital is expensive, Madam Speaker. Therefore, even as we continue in the spirit of access to medical care and access to clean water, Madam Speaker, we also continue to condemn, Madam Speaker, the issue of femicide that looks to be coming back. You have seen there are many deaths, Madam Speaker, that is happening, that is unexplained across the country. I saw in Isili, Madam Speaker, even as they struggle to look for the MC of Shell Ward in Wajir County, who unfortunately the DNA gave negative, that it was not him. There is unexplained deaths that is happening, and I want to call upon DCI and the police to fast track and investigate so that Kenyans can know what is really happening, Madam Speaker. More so when it happens to women, we don't take it for granted, because we know women are very critical and important, and no one should lose their life, Madam Speaker. I hope the Inspector General of Police is listening, the DCI, the DIG NIS, and all other. And I want to ask Kenyans, wherever they are, Madam Speaker, especially our young ladies, never go with somebody you are not sure of. As I condole with the MCA who lost the daughter here in Tika, the MCA from Kirinyaga, Madam Speaker, we want to ask our girls, be careful. Don't just be excited what you see in TikTok. Don't just date somebody you are not sure of. Can you do background check? I'm not saying the girls and women should be DCI, Madam Speaker, but at least they should do what we call due diligence before being taken out, Madam Speaker. They need to take care of themselves. The police cannot police everybody. Madam Speaker, and we are tired of losing young. I'm happy there is a breakthrough. Another girl who was found here in Mwigi. Suspects have been arrested, Madam Speaker. But we want to ask our girls and ladies, just be careful, be sure the person you are dating, Madam Speaker. Especially you should date more of Christian men or Muslim men. But those who go Kupati, Madam Speaker, you should be careful with them. And I know Senator Karen Nyamo, Madam Speaker, is happy. because there is a new song called Liani, and she should tell us what it means. Anyway, I want to support Madam Speaker, the mediated version.
Thank you, Senator Shirarige. Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Water Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 33 of 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, and further pursuant to Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 167(3) of the Senate, approves the mediated version of the bill. The motion is free for debate, and I'll call upon senators who will contribute to this motion. Senator Wamatinga Wahome, Nyeri County.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I did sit in the mediation committee, and I'm a member of the committee, standing committee. Indeed, Madam Speaker, the issue of water and scarcity and the reticulation has remained quite a major challenge in this country. That being the case, Madam Speaker, the committee from the Senate and the National Assembly sat together, and in the spirit of one nation and one approach, we did thrash out the issues that we had, and fully aware that matters of water affect county governments. We realize that it is imperative that we agree on a way to move it forward. It is not lost to us, Madam Speaker, that there are counties that are nationally disadvantaged because they are in a geographical location that puts them at disadvantage. We are also fully aware, Madam Speaker, that there are counties that draw water from other counties, and therefore the existence of Waterworks Development Agency provides an infrastructure within which you can be able to aggregate multiple counties so that economies of scale in the implementation of water solutions can be achieved. Madam Speaker, the mediated version of the water bill allows the government, both at the national and the county level, to put the effort together, to pull resources together, and ensure that most of the counties that do not have water, or those do not have enough potable water, do have access. Madam Speaker, it is known to everybody that we did promise in the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza government to ensure that people get access to water. And the only way, Madam Speaker, because of the limited balance sheet of the country and a lot of money that have been borrowed by the previous regimes, our balance sheet will not be able to support infrastructure development in the water sector. And it is in this spirit, Madam Speaker, that none other than the President himself came up with the idea of getting a kind of a paradigm shift in the way we do implementation of the project, and therefore came up with the idea of making water a tradable commodity that can be handled within public-private partnership. To ensure that that's doable, Madam Speaker, it is imperative that we have laws in place that ensures that the water harvested in reservoirs and reticulated to households can be accounted for. Madam Speaker, it worries me that some counties have as high as 70% non-revenue water. That is water that has been collected, water that has been dispatched through the master meter, but it cannot be accounted for because of the old infrastructure that we have. We know some of the counties, Madam Speaker, will not be on their own be able to put the reticulation systems together. And therefore, it is important that the national government, in collaboration with the county government, come up with a systematic approach that will ensure that the infrastructure is renewed, and most importantly, moving forward and moving with the technology, we come up with a smart meters, smart and intelligent water reticulation system, water leakage systems, as is with gas and oil pipeline. Madam Speaker, if we achieve this, it would mean that in some counties we would save up to 70% of the water that they harvest. We know that in the wake of the climate change, Madam Speaker, our rivers and our groundwater is reducing day by day. This, Madam Speaker, calls us to ensure that we have a new approach, to ensure that we have a more pragmatic approach that will ensure that the water that we harvest is not only used prudently, but also account for each and every drop. Madam Speaker, it is also not lost to us that most households still use untreated water, water that is not fit for human consumption. That being the case, Madam Speaker, the bill seeks to highlight how we can approach this, and most importantly, this enhanced and kind of a renegotiated and mediated bill ensures that the issues that were raising challenges have been addressed. But, Madam Speaker, as a country, the biggest challenge that we must face in water reticulation, especially in counties like those lies in the northern part of Kenya and the coastal region of Kenya, Madam Speaker, it's because they do not have the advantage that the counties that are in central region and in the mountain areas and other water catchment areas like the Rift Valley have. And that being the case, Madam Speaker, it is the responsibility of every county, it is the responsibility of every citizen of this country to ensure that every drop of water that we can put our hand on is used properly. Madam Speaker, how can that be achieved? We know counties like Nairobi, Thika, and other counties surrounding the big rivers that flows into the ocean, they have been heavily contaminated by affluent discharge into the rivers. And that is why, Madam Speaker, as the Kenya Kwanza regime assumed power, we formed the Nairobi River Commission that was supposed to handle the issue of water pollution, to handle the issue of river contamination, and most importantly, to ensure that the riparian area is protected so that we can not only protect life, but also ensure that most of the diseases that are caused by the pathogens that are transported by water are addressed. Madam Speaker, it is also not lost to us. Most of the counties that lie in the lower part of the country do have a lot of disadvantage. As much as all the rivers flows into the ocean, by the time the water gets into those counties, it is heavily contaminated. And therefore, Madam Speaker, coming up with a way of changing that approach requires laws that are not only dynamic, but laws that also address issues of how we use our water, how we discharge the affluent, and most importantly, Madam Speaker, how we treat that water before it is put for consumption. Therefore, Madam Speaker, promoting bulky water supply in multiple counties must be looked into. And I'm happy, Madam Speaker, to note that there is an intention by the current government to construct the High Grand Falls Dam that will have multipurpose function. One, it will address the perennial floods that affect the lower counties, like the Tana River. I can see Senator from there here is sitting here. Those counties that are on the lower side of the country, we know that every couple of years we lose lives, we lose property, because once the rivers burst their banks, then we have no control. By construction of the High Grand Falls Dam, which will also produce 1,000 megawatts of electricity, we will have solved that problem, one, by having the floods controlled, and two, by having additional supply of 1,000 megawatts of reliable electricity. On top of that, we'll have multiple counties enjoying the water for irrigation. Madam Speaker, embracing modern technology and also promoting the issue of governance, that has been one of the biggest challenges. Why is that so, Madam Speaker? Most of these waterworks development agencies, including the water service providers, they have been run by kind of a family kind of approach where the governors in most counties, they do not even know what happens, and therefore, we must also put into place structures and systems to ensure that we do not only account for the water that have been harvested and reticulated, but also to ensure that transparency and governance is written in capital letter. The spirit of the bill, Madam Speaker, is to ensure that moving forward, water becomes a tradable commodity, one, and two, to ensure that we have responsible boards that are manning these water service providers. But as we do that, Madam Speaker, it should not be lost to us that some of these water service providers are too small that they cannot achieve economies of scale. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I like the approach that the previous Minister of Water, before she moves to land head, of consolidating some of these water service providers so that we can achieve economies of scale. Madam Speaker, some counties are also in themselves small that they cannot be able to accommodate the large dams, or they do not even have that natural resources of putting those dams together. Therefore, Madam Speaker, once we construct the reservoirs upstream, then there is a duty to ensure that the reticulation, we do not lose the water that we transport to those counties. But as we do that, Madam Speaker, it must also be here and emphasized that the governance issue has become and must become one of the major challenges that we must address. Madam Speaker, we as the senators have the obligation and the duty of promoting devolution. As we do that, Madam Speaker, our role to oversight the county governments, our role to oversight the water service providers, our role to oversight the waterworks development agencies must be promoted. This, Madam Speaker, will ensure that when we harvest water, Madam Speaker, it is not only stored, but also used in such a manner that it will promote life. Madam Speaker, water in this country, in some counties, is a very scarce commodity. But we also know that in those very same counties where we have scarcity of water, every time we have heavy rainfall, we have a lot of flooding that causes a lot of damages. Therefore, Madam Speaker, to be able to address that, as we talk of our target of planting the 15 billion trees, we must also come up with a concept of creating both localized storage and also storage that will ensure that we have enough water. Madam Speaker, as I support this bill, I would also want to say that it is also the high time, and I remember one of the motions I moved when I came into this House is application of smart technologies in usage of water. We know, Madam Speaker, in most of these Western countries, the taps will give water, and will let the water run so long as there is someone there. These sensor motions and mostly also leak detection system, Madam Speaker, allows us to save a lot of water. Having said that, Madam Speaker, it should also not be lost to us that water treatment works is an area that we are doing as a country, we are doing very, very poorly. We know that in most Western countries, water is recycled, it's treated and recycled for either household use or garden irrigation. In this country, Madam Speaker, where most of the latrines are pit, we know that there is a lot of contamination of groundwater, and this is an area that we as a country must also look forward to, especially in line with the SDGs that Kenya is a signatory to. Madam Speaker, the water service providers in most counties, and I'd want to highlight that Nyeri County is one of those counties that are performing quite well in water services. This is simply because we do not rely on pumping the water, but we rely on gravity flow. But we can still do better with some areas like in Kieni West, Kieni East, Madam Speaker, where construction of dams were promised in the 60s have not been realized right now because of challenges in the balance sheet of the country. But as I said, Madam Speaker, at the beginning, the government approach today is to have public-private partnership where you'll be able to let private equity flow into the dams construction, into the development of the infrastructure and education works, which can be paid off like it is with the expressway. Madam Speaker, as I sit down, I would want to urge my colleagues to keep their eyes wide open, especially with the water service providers, because we have a gaping gap in terms of governance, in terms of management, and even we do not have technology application in the usage of accounting and also in the billing system. Madam Speaker, in the advent of internet technology, we know that it is possible today to apply smart meters, but these smart meters will not be of any use if there is no water or the traps are running dry. Madam Speaker, as I sit down, I would want to urge my colleagues to support this bill and also to enhance their role in the oversight so that we can improve governance and transparency and accountability in the waterworks and in water service providers to ensure that Kenyans get water across the counties. Madam Speaker, I support.
Senator Aaron Cheriot, Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I want to appreciate the opportunity to speak on this very important endeavor by our committee responsible, charged with this very enormous responsibility. First, for the record, Madam Speaker, I wish to register my appreciation that mediation exercises are now taking a faster time period than previously was the case in the previous sessions of the Senate. Previously, Madam Speaker, the first few meetings would actually end up just being 5 or 10 minutes, and we would disagree on very basic matters, including who chairs the meeting and who makes the opening prayer. That is how bad the relationship between the two houses was then. But I want to appreciate that by the spirit of bicameralism has settled in the country, in both houses of parliament, and they equally appreciate now, Madam Speaker, the very important role of the Senate, that we have specific eyes, keen to detail, to ensure that every law that we pass in this country, Madam Speaker, is in compliance with the spirit of devolution. And therefore, this is one such exercise, Madam Speaker, where we ensure that in our interactions, in our engagements with colleagues from the National Assembly, every time we have a mediation exercise with them, Madam Speaker, is that they appreciate where Senate is coming from. In fact, it is not unusual nowadays to hear members of the National Assembly on their own floor in the National Assembly, and I have seen this more than once, including none other than their majority leader in that house, sometimes rise to oppose a particular position taken by colleagues in that particular house and tell them there's no way Senate will agree to this, because they know how we view things, Madam Speaker, and have come to appreciate that any legislation that has senators involved, Madam Speaker, will eventually end up with that particular law not violating any principal organ of devolution. And I want to appreciate and celebrate all the committees of our House that continue to do this great responsibility and undertake their work diligently, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we live up to our core mandate. Therefore, I celebrate these committees. More specifically on this report, Madam Speaker, I have only about 2 or 3 comments that I want to make, specifically on the committee recommendations that have been made on what now will be the mediated version of this bill, Madam Speaker. I want to appreciate first that this is a very important piece of legislation. Madam Speaker, you understand that in the UDA manifesto, we made a promise to make water available to as many citizens of our republic, Madam Speaker, as possible. Having made that promise, Madam Speaker, we came to the realization that it was going to take extremely long for government of Kenya, either national or county, to get to the last mile of water provision to the citizens of this republic. And therefore, there was need for better thinking on just how to better organize the water sector to ensure that you conform it to the needs of our people, Madam Speaker, while matching the demand to the realities of funds that are scarce and not possible to reticulate this water, Madam Speaker, to all our citizens. And therefore, the thinking that went to this bill right from the onset, which I see now being confirmed in this particular mediated version of the bill, Madam Speaker, is to create powers for various contracting agencies, Madam Speaker, through our water service companies in our counties, Madam Speaker, to ensure that they have the power to enter into contractual obligations with people that have the resources, Madam Speaker, to ensure that they put and ensure that this service is available to citizens, of course at a fee, Madam Speaker, because there are many parts of the country where people actually are willing to pay, Madam Speaker, for this water. But unfortunately, if it is unavailable, it doesn't matter even if you have money, Madam Speaker. So long as that water is not available, there's nothing that you can do. And therefore, I appreciate that this mediated committee, this mediated version, Madam Speaker, has gone to the very basic levels, including disagreeing even on a simple term as such as definition of what will be a bulk water service provider and their relationship with the contracting authority, Madam Speaker, where it has defined it into 2. Remember, Madam Speaker, I mentioned earlier in my initial comments that what I appreciate about our mediation exercises is that they help both houses of parliament to appreciate that there are two levels of government. Initially, in the bill as it came, Madam Speaker, it had only the definition of the contracting authority with the mindset of a national government. But our committee, Madam Speaker, is the one that went on to specify and introduce the aspect of, at the county level, the county government, the county agency, or the county corporation which intends to have its function undertaken by a private party. Appreciating, Madam Speaker, that even our county governments, Madam Speaker, will have the power, and we need to grant them the authority, Madam Speaker, to enter into these contractual obligations so that they provide water to their citizens, Madam Speaker, without much of a struggle. Of course, Madam Speaker, the second thing that I want to spend a little time on, Madam Speaker, is on this issue of operation of water works. When an investor, Madam Speaker, through the PPP partnerships, when they have conducted public participation and they have consulted with the regulatory board and the relevant county government whose area and jurisdiction of waterworks is located, Madam Speaker, they are being allowed to first of all engage the citizens, because this is a cardinal principle as per our constitution. That
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture,
Movies, gossip and trends, sports,
drama. We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you were making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out. Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sio wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.